Its purpose is to discover group structure, the basic network of relationship patterns and subgroup organization. The relations of any one child to the group as a whole is the specific type of information that is expected to be derived from a clinical sociogram. Sociogram's value to a clinician is in its potential for developing greater understanding of group attitudes and behavior so that he/she may operate more wisely in creating intervention to enhance group management and development. Sociograms may be constructed in a variety of ways. To formulate a questions in making a sociogram, it must be positive and negative questions. So these are the questions that are used. For the positive, we have, if you have a project, which two of your classmates do you want to work with? For the negative questions, if you have a project, which two of your classmates you don't want to work with? After that, you will create a simple chart with the following heading. First, we have the nominators. Under the nominator, we have code number, sex, name, and then a positive nomination. We have the first choice and the second choice. Negative nomination, we have also the first choice and the second choice. These are the data that we gathered randomly from STEM 12 school year 2017-2018 in St. Francis College, Gihongan.
In making the diagram for positive and negative criterion, we must first have a different shapes and symbols as our legend for the basis of our illustration. So for the respondents, we have the female. It is a violet diamond shape, and for the male is a yellow triangle. And also we have arrows. A red arrow determine the first choice of the respondents and yellow grid for the second choice. So using the above symbols, the next step is to transfer the obtained patterns to a drawing. So this is the diagram for the negative criterion and for the positive criterion.
Sociogram interpretation and terminology. Giving examples of sociogram terminology is one of the easiest ways of relating how to interpret a sociogram. Stars. When several children positively nominate the same person, the many arrows will lead to that person, thus emphasizing their starness. They are the center of or hub of attraction. In the case of a negative nomination, we might want to note the individual with several arrows as a negative star. Positive star. Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan. She is the most frequently positively selected in the group. Negative star. K.G. Hipulan. She is the most frequently negatively selected in the group. Isolates. Children who have not been positively nominated by anyone in the group are usually defined as isolates. Tricia Claire P. Bisario, Mary Antoinette Q. Bustamante, K.G. Hipulan, and Pamela C. Abello. They are the ones who are not being positively selected by others. Ghost. A ghost is a person who is not even acknowledged as being in the classroom. No one is ghost since everyone receives whether a positive or a negative nomination. Mutual choices. This consists of pairs of children who choose each other. Positive criterion. Lizelle B. Hiraga and Rhea Joy P. De Los Santos. Lizelle B. Hiraga and Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan. Frizail Ceres E. Acabo and Mary Alijin O. Camero. Araiza Farah M. Arances and Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan. Negative criterion. Mary Angeline O. Camero and Tricia Claire P. Bisario. Tricia Claire P. Bisario and Mary Antoinette Q. Bustamante. Cristel Teres E. Acabo and K.G. Hipulan. Lizelle B. Jeraga and Pamela C. Abello. Ariza Farah M. Arances, and Pamela C. Abilio. Chains. A chain is when one person nominates another, who in turn nominates another child. This term is usually reserved for describing the first level nominations only. Chains have a tendency to lead toward a star. Positive criterion. From Lizelle B. Hiraga to Ria Joy P. De Los Santos and to Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan. From K.G. Hipulan to Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan and to Ariza Farah M. Arances. From Pamela C. Abilio to Ria Joy B. De Los Santos to Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan and to Lizelle B. Hiraga. Negative criterion. From Mary Angeline O. Camero to Tricia Claire P. Bisario to Mary Antoinette Q. Bustamante to K.G. Hipolan and to Crizel Teres E. Acabo. From K.G. Hipolan to Crizel Teres E. Acabo and to Tricia Claire P. Bisario.
Triangle.
A chain wherein it comes back on itself, having the last person chose the first that involves only three. Positive criterion. From Lizelle B. Hiraga to Ria Joy P. De Los Santos to Cristel Elizabeth Alipan and back to Lizelle B. Hiraga. Circle or cliques. A chain wherein it comes back on itself, having the last person choose the first that involves four or more. Negative criterion. From Mary Angeline O. Camero to K.G. Hipulan to Mary Antoinette Q. Bustamante to Tricia Claire P. Bisario and back to Mary Angeline O. Camero.
So for the legend of the two-dimensional matrix of choosers and chosen. So for the first choice positive is positive 2. For the second choice positive is positive 1. And for the first choice negative is negative 2. And for the second choice negative is negative 1. So this is the two-dimensional matrix of choosers and chosen. As we can see in the left first column is the code numbers of choosers, and on above row is the code number of chosen. The chooser number 1, her first choice positive is 7, and her second choice positive is 5, and then her first choice negative is 4, and her second choice negative is 2, and then the rest for the choosers 2 to 10, the same process with chooser number 1. Just pause the video and study the matrix. So for the last two rows below, for the first row is the sum of the scores of the first choice positive, and then the last row is the sum of the scores of the choice negative.
Now, we will find the mean. The formula of mean is mean equals total score over n. The total score of positive and negative scores is 30, and the n is 10. 30 over 10 equals 3. Therefore, the mean is 3. First column is the positive scores of the students that are being surveyed. The positive score of the student number 1 is 2. For the next column is score minus mean, which is
2 minus 3 is equal to
negative 1. The last column is score minus mean squared. Therefore, negative 1 squared is 1. And the students 2 to 10, they have the same process. And now, we will find the summation of score minus mean squared. Add 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4 plus 144 plus 4 plus 1 plus 9 is equal to 194. And now, we will find the standard deviation of the positive score. Standard deviation formula is square root of summation score minus mean squared over n minus 1. Square root of 194 over 10 minus 1 equals square root of 21.56. Therefore, the standard deviation is 4.64. We'll now proceed to the negative score. The first column is the negative scores of the students that are being surveyed. The negative score of student number 1 is 0. For the next column is score minus mean, or 0 minus 3 equals negative 3. The last column is score minus mean squared. Therefore, negative 3 squared equals 9. And the students 2 to 10, they have the same process. And now, we will find the summation of score minus mean squared. 9 plus 4 plus 1 plus 144 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 9 plus 0 equals 182. In finding standard deviation negative, we have square root of summation of score minus mean squared over n minus 1. Square root of 181 over 10 minus 1 equals square root of 20.22. Therefore, standard deviation negative is 4.50.
And now, we will determine the student's social status by computing the following. For Mary Angeline O. Camero, we will now find her z-score for the like most. By using the formula of the z-score for the like most, it is score minus mean divided by the SD.
So the positive score of Mary Angeline O. Camero is 2 minus the mean, which is 3, divided by the positive SD, which is 4.64.
2 minus 3 divided by 4.64 is equal to negative 0.22. Next is we will find the z-score for the like list by using also the same formula for the z-score of finding the like most, which is the score minus mean divided by the SD.
So the negative score of Mary Angeline is 0 minus the mean, which is 3, divided by the negative SD, which is 4.50.
So 0 minus 3 divided by 4.50 is equal to negative 0.67. After computing each child's ZLM and ZLL scores, one can then go on to compute each child's social preference score, which is as follows. The formula in finding the social preference or the SP is z-score for the like most minus the z-score for the like least. So the z-score for the like most of Mary Angeline is negative 0.22 minus her z-score for the like least, which is negative 0.67. And it is equal to 0.45. Next is we will find the social impact or the SI. Social impact is the idea that whether or not children are liked by the group as a whole or disliked by the group is nevertheless responsive to them. Therefore, both the ZLM as well as the ZLL scores are an important consideration. Thus, the formula for social impact is as follows. So, SI is equal to ZLM plus ZLL. So, the z-score for the like most of Mary Angeline is negative 0.22 plus her z-score for the like least, which is negative 0.67. So, we will add those two and it is equal to negative 0.89.
For the remaining nominators, we will also find their z-score for the like most, z-score for the like least, social preference, and their social impact by using the same process I explained to you a while ago.
Given these four computations, first, we have the z-score of the like most, second, the z-score of the like least, third, the social preference, and fourth, the social impact. These can apply in Boolean logic to determine the 5 specific categories of social status. We have A, popular, which is equal to SP greater than positive 1.00 and ZLM greater than 0.0 and ZLL less than 0.0. Next is the rejected. It is equal to SP less than negative 1.0 and ZLM less than 0.0 and ZLL greater than 0.0. Next, neglected. It is equal to SI less than negative 1.0 and ZLM and ZLL it is equal to 0.0. Next is the controversial. It is equal to SI greater than positive 1.0 and ZLM and ZLL greater than 0.0. Next, we have the average status. It is equal to any child whose scores cannot be fit into social categories A through D above. So here, from the given computed score, we can identify what social status being described to the students using the Boolean logic. First, Mary Angeline O'Camero. Her social status is average. Since her score did not fit into social categories A through D on the Boolean logic. Tricia Claire P. Bisario. Rejected. Since her SP is equal to negative 1.09 and it is less than negative 1.0 and her ZLM is negative 0.65 and it is less than 0.0 and her ZLL is 0.44 and it is greater than 0.0. Next is Mary Antoinette Q. Bustamante, average status. Her score did not fit into social categories from A through D on the Boolean logic. K.G. Hipulan, rejected. Since her SP is negative 3.32, ZLL is 2.67, and the ZLM is negative 0.65. Rizal Therese E. Acabo, average status. Lizel B. Diraga, average status. Kirsty Elizabeth Alipan, popular, since her SP is 3.26, ZLM is 2.59, and her ZLL is negative 0.67. Ariza Farah M. Arances, average status. Ria Joy P. De Los Santos, average status. And Pamela C. Abelio, average status.
So for the conclusion, the computed value of such distribution shows the different status of the individual within the group taken from the 10 random samples of the population in the grade 12 Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics student of St. Francis College, Gilman. Thus, these individual statuses shown above answer to the question of which of those students they would or wouldn't like to work with. Therefore, we can conclude that Tricia Claire P. Bisario and K.G. Hipulan is the two of which being rejected, or they don't want to be in their partner in working if they have a project. In contrast, Christy Elizabeth Alipan is the most popular, and so we could say that she is being wished by her classmate to be their partner if they have a project to work with. In addition, the rest of the students are just in average status, wherein their classmate either want them or not to be their partner in making such project.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe on this channel for more video tutorials. Bye-bye!